So one of the things I keep quoting is that I think Dragonflight looks like it's going to be more alt-friendly. But I never quite have all the facts on if that's true. So I've been struggling with kind of what that is. So let me go ahead and let's just update that. Let's talk about alts in World of Warcraft. So let's go listen to Signs of Kalani talk about the account-wide catch-up feature, because when I compare this to Guild Wars, where the whole game is effectively account-wide, or New World and Final Fantasy, where you are really wildly encouraged to only have one character, World of Warcraft rides in a weird spot where it's not account-wide, but a lot of people have many alts.
Dragonflight is right around the corner, but that isn't stopping the dev team from making some huge changes right before launch. There's a big new catch-up mechanic for reputation and renown farming. We have more information on how the new tier set catalyst will work in Dragonflight, as well as how we will earn exactly what we need to use it, and crafting orders were only tested for like a week, but they already have a massive change which will change up how and when you can create crafting orders. Many of these changes will also have a big impact on how alts play at endgame in Dragonflight, and spoiler alert, it's all fantastic news. If you haven't seen this overhaul before, it's pretty simple. Reputations or factions in Dragonflight will not follow the typical friendly, honored, revered, exalted rep grind that we've been used to. They will instead use the renown feature from Shadowlands. But before you start having some nasty Shadowlands flashbacks, let me clear some things up. You don't have to pick a rep to join or farm for. You can earn rep with all 4 factions at the same time.
That's awesome. Okay, so let me explain this in a couple of other games' terms. In Guild Wars 2, there are times that you need to align yourself throughout the main story. And you get to kind of pick and choose things, but ultimately it does not change the way you play. In New World, you might align with one of the 3 factions, and it substantially changes the way you play. It just kind of changes who you align with, because there is an element of PvP even within the PvE aspects of that game. In Final Fantasy XIV, there are NPC-based factions that you join called Grand Companies, and back in A Realm Reborn, you chose one of the 3, and it limited what you could do as far as PvPing with other players, but over the years has been stripped back to effectively being a cosmetic-only choice that many players have hoped would have a bigger narrative impact than it does. But in World of Warcraft in Shadowlands, you had to pick one of these that was tied to the current expansion zones, and it added literal abilities to your bar, one based on what class you are and one based on which covenant you picked, and it changed the way your class played fundamentally. And where this became problematic is if you PvP in a different way on your class than you PvE, you might feel penalized. If you like the cosmetic of one and not as much of the one that actually gives you the abilities you want, you felt penalized. And if you decided to play on multiple characters, you felt penalized. And so one of the questions with the next expansion is, how are you going to handle the reputation grinds that have kind of become a staple in most MMORPGs? This idea that you're going to work towards building up your reputation, or building up a city, or building up the relationship, or helping them expand their territory, or something like that that helps you invest in the world in a way that ultimately comes down to filling a bar up.
Renown earning is also completely different and not tied to daily or weekly limits. This is not Covenants, this is not Shadowlands Renown. Forget everything you know about Shadowlands Renown, because it really isn't the same thing. For Dragonflight, you can earn reputation from a variety of sources: story quests, side quests, world quests, special turn-ins, special mini-games, the usual kind of activities. For every 2,500 reputation you earn, you will gain 1 renown with that reputation. Every renown you earn will unlock new rewards in your renown track. Some factions cap out at 25 renown, others go up to 30 renown. As you get more rep and more renown, you can earn new cosmetic options, new gearing options, mini-games relating to the faction, new world quests, and a lot of profession recipes. There's a lot packed into these reps, but most of it is not tied to player power, so it's very much an optional thing.
So player power is a big one, because it sounds good to some players who say, I don't have time to raid a lot, or my raid group is progressing through the raid very slowly, and wouldn't it be cool if all the things I do when I'm not raiding gave me a perk? But ultimately what that becomes is locking player power behind other systems. So now people who only like raiding feel forced to go do content they did not want to do to get access to that power. And players who just wanted to get a little bit of power, maybe because they were doing casually, are now asked to do maybe a great deal more of the thing that they thought would be fun to do more of. And it becomes an expectation. That is where something becomes a chore. It is not something rewarding you for doing something optional. It is a reward so good that the word optional quickly fades away for a portion of the player base that really dictates how players interact with each other.
In the most recent beta build, a new reward was added in for every faction at Renown 10 and Renown 20. At Renown 10, you can earn the Word of a Worthy Ally 1 unlock. This will increase your other character's rep gains with that faction by 100%, so fully double the rep gains while they are below Renown level 10. This is available for every faction, so if you get to Renown 10 with every faction, every other character across your entire account will have double rep gains with everyone up until that Renown 10 mark. That's going to make getting caught up with Renown on your ults so much easier and faster, and will make it quite valuable to focus on one character first to unlock those speed up bonuses. Maybe in the future, if extra Renown levels are added in, we'll see more of these buffs along the Renown track to help keep you up to date.
Imagine if by the end of the expansion we're at Renown 100 and they give us like 1,000%, 2,000%. For those first couple levels. And so then literally you go create the new class during pre-patch for 12.0 whatever, you know, and you decide to go through some dragonflight content and you hit level 10 on the first day. So that's really cool. I think I'd still rather Renown just be account wide in general, and then in my mind it could afford to be pretty grindy.
Now, something that a lot of players don't seem to know already is that the vast majority of the Renown system and the rewards on offer are actually account-wide already. As you go through the Renown reward tracks, most items say they unlock for your entire account. So this includes things like the extra world quests, unlocking special scenarios, being able to find specific treasures for each faction, new cosmetic items and effects, including dragon riding, dragon customization options.
So the only thing I'm going to want to push alts up for is recipes for professions they have, or cosmetics if they're a different armor type.
The only things that are not account-wide rewards are the gear rewards, or the ability to purchase new gear rewards, access to profession recipes, and the renown levels themselves. Moving on, the other big change for endgame progression this week comes to the creation catalyst. Oh, I guess we should be calling it the inspiration catalyst. That's what it's going to be called in Dragonflight, but it will largely be the exact same thing. You can turn non-tier set gear into tier set gear and get those bonuses. We're still not 100% clear on the restrictions this time around and which types of gear can be turned into tier gear, because we have a lot more variety at endgame when compared to Shadowlands.
People asked for more sets, man. They took it real seriously.
But one question remains. What exactly do we need to use the catalyst in Dragonflight? When the catalyst becomes available in Dragonflight Season 1, there will not be a new currency. Instead, there will be a weekly quest that simply requires doing the same sorts of group content that provides you with catalyst-eligible gear in the first place. Notably, all characters on your WoW account can contribute towards progress completing this quest. Completing the quest awards 1 charge to all current and future characters on your WoW account, and each of your characters can spend charges individually. So, if you've done the quest 3 times and used 3 charges on your main character, a new alt that reaches level 70 will have 3 charges of their own available.
How cool is that? So I can contribute progress. So it's like in Guild Wars when I go complete my dailies. That's just a thing that I do, and I can jump and do daily number 1 on the first character, daily 2 on the second character, daily 3 on the third character, and then I get the account-wide daily reward. However, if I want to gear them out, I am getting the ability to use that charge on each character that I want to mess with the gear for, including characters I have not yet leveled, which means that if I am somebody that wants to focus on a main character through the first raid and then level my alts 6 months into the expansion, and then I decide to switch to one of those alts being the character I bring into the second raid, I'm not going to feel like I'm penalized because I didn't pre-stage one of every class at the beginning of the expansion so that they could be collecting their dailies. So it's not only do it one time account-wide, but that one-time account wide protects you for the entire duration. That is super cool.
The quest will also probably end up being a multiple choice completion, like complete 5 dungeons or kill 5 raid bosses or earn a certain amount of honor. It will probably line up quite well with the weekly vault in Dragonflight 2, giving you even more reason to run different types of content. With no currency being involved, that also means you don't really have to play your alts at all to take advantage of your catalyst charges, which makes the system as a whole even more alt friendly. The inspiration catalyst is shaping up to be a good upgrade over the creation catalyst so far. And then the last major change I wanted to talk about in this video comes through for the crafting order system. This change is very simple, but will have quite a lot of knock-on effects, I would think. Previously, when creating a crafting order, you could decide how many materials or reagents to provide alongside your commission. This allowed you to basically ask a crafter to craft something for you without actually providing anything at all, hoping that the pure gold commission would cover everything. That honestly would have been a bit of a mess and would make it very time-consuming for a crafter to figure out if a commission and craft would be worthwhile. Well, throw that all out the window because Blizzard have made a big change to the system as a whole. Now when you start a crafting order, you have to provide all of the materials required for that craft. You can still omit optional secondary stuff like missives to decide on your stats or upgrade items for item levels, but the raw base materials for a craft, you have to provide all of that now.
Is it still limited to only things from this expansion?
Over on the crafter side, it's going to be even easier now. Every crafting order will now provide the required materials to actually complete the craft, so the only limiting factors for you as a crafter are 1. Do you have that recipe and can you craft it? And 2. Do you have any of the optional reagents that the order requires to be finished? So I'm interested to see how this pans out. It sounds better and provides a much smoother experience overall, especially for the crafter, but that does mean you always have to get your materials yourself before making a crafting order, so it's maybe less convenient for the buyers or order places, but I think it's going to be a good change overall. Now perhaps the most important part of this change is that it's only actually enforced for public orders. For guild orders or private orders, you can still provide minimal or even no materials for a craft. That makes a lot of sense because those are typically the kinds of orders with more trust behind them, but for the wide wild west of the public order board, there's no trust to be seen, so you have.
You're also not necessarily worried about making money with a friend, right? And so if it ends up being it's missing the bottom machine chassis here and that costs me, if those are worth 5 gold or 50 gold, I don't care. Like if it's the friend that I'm going to run Mythic Plus with and they want these opticals and then I just want to like provide the machine, it's fine. It's fine. Like I'm not worried about it. So that's a little bit different.
To provide all of your materials up front. But those are the big changes to endgame which will make playing alts so much easier and more enjoyable.
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome.